I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside. It's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off-road. The guy managed the group. He was like, what are you doing in this beautiful car? I'm like, I'm going off-road. He's like, are you sure? Because you can use one of ours. And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability, as well as its robust interior, are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
Welcome to the Companion Podcast. This is going to be a totally free-flow conversation to talk about what we learned this month from other podcasts that we recorded. So this month, or last month actually, it's really, really fun for me to work on because we have a lot of story format, which I love actually. I love story format. I don't know about you, Nathan. Do you like story format? You hate them?
I love it, of course.
Sometimes when I listen to a podcast, I do want I have to constantly write down notes. I have to constantly do this and do that,
Right.
Whereas just the story one, I can just let my mind go and then just listen. Sometimes I don't even have to listen to, I don't have to think about so many things.
Yeah,
also
it's
before
enjoyment listen.
Yeah, and also before we start, how are you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing pretty well. It's nice weather outside. I spent all day outside. My kids were playing with other kids. They ran around. They went in the kiddie pool. There was a slip and slide.
That's great.
Drank a lot of seltzer.
Seltzer water is best. How's chat doing? I just want to make sure we take care of the chat as well. We have a couple of viewers here. I'm good. Recently, I'm obsessed with the way I consume news. So I don't know. How do you usually find news, Nathan?
How do I find news?
Yep.
I read the Washington Post and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, of which I have subscriptions.
Right.
And I have a few, I have a lurker account on Twitter where I have a few...
Yeah, that you never follow me?
A few, echo chamber people who I, look at for enjoyment news.
Right. See, that's way too conventional. That's way too traditional. See, the way I look for news right now, I don't even go to any of the website. Maybe I will go to sometimes, but I wouldn't actively go to. So what I did is I have 2 things open on my tab for news.
Okay.
Number 1, Twitter hashtag trend. So I just look at Twitter hashtag, what's hashtagging, what's getting like 100,000 or 10,000. And then I would just look at what's that hashtag about. I think that's the fastest way of getting news because Twitter somehow, magically, usually is the first platform that get any news.
Right.
John McAfee
definitely.
John McAfee supposedly killed himself. No, he didn't say kill himself. Supposedly died in the prison. That's how I found out. It's on Twitter trend. I'm like, all of a sudden there's like 50,000 hashtag on John McAfee. I'm like, what's going on? And then just look it up. And then the second tab I had on news is Google Trend. Have you used Google Trend before?
I have used it before, but I don't. Tell me, it's been a while. What's up?
Google Trend, there's this thing, Google Trend. I think you can just type in Google Trend. Mm-hmm. It's a page where you can see what's trending on Google search. Yeah. So there's 2, and that
it shows the time life, does it show the graph view?
Yep.
Yeah.
It shows
I
the
haven't
graph.
used that for recent news. I've used that to look at historical data.
So there's 2 column in Google Trend page. It's daily search and by hours.
Mm-hmm.
daily search is, of course, like that day, what's the most searched that day. And then hour search is by hours what's most trending. So like I usually, because like I felt like if there's not enough searches on Google, very high percentage or very high chances of that news is irrelevant to me.
That's a very interesting concept. So you're looking for relevance.
Yeah.
And then seeing but then you're only following popular
Yeah. So like
articles.
So John McAfee, it's a worldwide international news, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of the protests are happening in New York and US, might not be a worldwide incidents or people care about. So like I would just but it will trend on Twitter. It will trend on Twitter. So I would still go on Twitter, I just look at it, I'm like, okay, this is what happened, and then I'm done. So on the Google trend one, I will look at it, I'm like, oh shit. And then I will click on John McAfee, let's say, and it will give me 4 different articles. So I can look at 4 different articles and say what they say about the same incident rather than just read that one article about that incident. Yeah, so I can figure out how should I translate or how should I digest the information. I'm not sure if that makes sense. And also like that,
yeah, definitely.
that just cut off so many unnecessary news. Like there's news about, alligator spotted in Florida. Do I care about it? I don't really care about it. Do you care about alligator in Florida?
I don't, but I wouldn't necessarily read it. I've gotten past the headlines.
Right. Yeah. So,
but I also work for a traditional media organization that
Right.
prints and buy.
Right. So that's how I consume news right now, because I felt like a lot of news really not relevant to me. And if it's relevant to me, it's either an echo chamber that I should step out from, because being echo chamber is, most of the time it's not good for you, which is this month's topic. I'm really excited about this month, the James Altucher Show episodes. But before everything, I really excited about the Makes You a Millionaire series. I don't know if anyone here listened to Makes You a Millionaire series. I think the series is great. I talked to several of my friends. I'm like, I'm really proud of that series. It's what James wanted to do, and also my brainchild. So we totally rebranded the series. We have new artwork, which is the one that you guys see, and we have new intro. And I love the intro, and I love the way Nathan edited the intro. That was amazing.
Thanks, buddy. I used your input, and it ended up sounding pretty cool.
Yeah, and we have 3 new mentees now. Jason first in restaurant industry, and that was great. I learned so much about restaurant industry, and I learned so much about staffing and the front of house. And the crazy thing that Jason did is he is such a data person. He just he will every night, like even till now, every night after the restaurant closed, he will go back, he will open his Excel sheet, he will put down at this time, how many people came to the restaurant, at this time, how many people reserved the restaurant. And then the struggle that he's facing right now is apparently the staff shortage.
Right. There's a huge staffing shortage across the country.
Yeah. In restaurant industry, people doesn't want to work for that anymore somehow. People like at this. I felt like after the pandemic, people just choose their work. They choose what they want to do rather than like, hey, there's a job, I should just do it.
Traditional service industry hasn't been the way it's especially as the restaurant industry had to shift its total model to a industry without any front of house for a year.
Right. Yeah, because they have to rely on delivery
and
takeout. Yeah, it's crazy.
None of the traditional busters or servers.
So what do you think about Jason first? Because you obviously I recorded him a bunch because we actually recorded like 6 or 7 episodes already. But you just started editing Jason's episodes. What do you think about?
Yeah, I've only heard the first one. It really interesting. I like the restaurant industry. Just seems to be the most something that stereotypically fails over and over again.
Right.
It seems to be a business lots of people start up with no concept of how things work. The restaurant industry has notoriously tight margins on everything and a notoriously high failure rate. To see someone go at it from a numbers angle that's been embedded, just instead of just saying, I can do this, because I have great ideas for food. To try to take on different approaches from a numbers point of view, focusing on getting butts into seats. I've only heard that first episode.
Right.
You said you've done 6 or so.
I'm pretty sure we have 6 or so because there's sometimes he came on and then we started recording. We just started recording because it's so great because he always bring new ideas, and then it's funny because he can't wait every day. He can't wait to talk to James about his issues and how James can help with his issues.
So what kind of thing do we have going on? Can you give me a hint of what's going to come up in a later episode with him that I haven't edited yet?
Oh my God. Okay. This is Jason's first story. Obviously, he's not here. He's probably working in the restaurant right now. He was in the restaurant on the first episode, and then on the second episode, they actually talk. And the second and third episode, actually, he's gonna talk about how he's coming to New York for a job interview for another restaurant.
So he's leaving Atlanta, leaving Georgia.
Haha, no spoiler. I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you everything. It's just like watching Game of Thrones. I'm gonna tell you that like the dragon only show up after season 4.
Wait, there's a dragon?
Pretty sure there's dragon in Game of Thrones. It's such a weird show. Like they hype about dragons so much, and then dragon just come on at season 4, which is weird. And then episodes 4 or 5, then you will find out if he actually took a job or not, and then how he wanted to change the whole industry. One quote we just recorded yesterday that's really good that he said that is that I think he did. I'm not sure if this is the direct quote, but the quote is, the restaurant industry is one of the old grandpa industry that hasn't been changed for a couple 100 years.
Very true.
Yeah, because if you think about it, if they always like the quote of like, if it ain't broken, don't change it.
Right.
So yeah. So we have Jason first. And then the other one I'm really excited about for Makes You a Millionaire series is Jen Glantz.
Mm-hmm.
She is one of the most amazing, manatees that I've recorded. She is very, very passionate about everything. She's so excited about everything. She's so what's the word? And enthusiastic about everything. Mm-hmm. And then she is not afraid of sharing any of her failures or her struggle or her or her weaknesses. That's one thing that I find one of the bravest thing that you can do is admit your weakness.
And she came right out of the bat. She said, James had introed her on that first episode. She said, just want to tell you, none of these things are going as successfully as you think, as they seem like they are.
Yeah.
She's very good at getting media. It's that kind of infectious thing. So a little bit of good press on major outlets became a big source. And then she got I think a 3-book deal, what she's published on the series. Yep. So she's kind of, in a lot of ways, she took, she's already done a bunch of these things and skipped the line. She has a spoken wheel approach. She's made herself an expert in the field by getting major news headlines and short segments, things that just cement that she's this interesting thing. But now she got married and not in it all the way she expected a marriage to go, and she's tired of being the bridesmaid for hire and doing this, and wants to figure out where Jen Glantz is going to be for the next 30 years.
And the craziest thing is that I never believed that. I never believed this, is that, she started out just by posting ads on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoever get big and famous on Craigslist? I feel like Craigslist is like the dark market that you go into that you might get murdered or might not.
It is now. I don't know. It didn't always used to be that way.
Really?
I used to. I got apartments off Craigslist. I met people. I bought stuff. It just It got seedier and seedier over time. Maybe that's why. That's why it's changing now.
Well, see, okay, I'm not from around here. I'm from Malaysia, right? So
you are?
when Yeah, well, I'm from Malaysia, and James, picked me up off the fresh off the boat. He's like,
Okay.
I teach you English now, and all this stuff, and then now my English is good, But so like when I first came to the States and I looked for apartment in Craigslist, but before I go there, of course I will look up like Craigslist review or wherever. I have a lot of weird review out there, like Craigslist is like the weird place. You might get murdered, you might get kidnapped. People might sell you some illegal stuff. Yeah, but I still get my apartment there. But that's always my impressions of Craigslist. It's like a weird, lonely place. It's strange. But yeah, she got huge. She got her first gig off Craigslist, become the bridesmaid for hire, and chat whoever here. If you want to look for a bridesmaid for hire, contact Jen Glantz. You can listen to her on our podcast on the James Altucher Show, the Makes You a Millionaire series, and she is great. We recorded I think 3 episodes with her now, and every episode she just brought up different ideas that she wanted to work with, and then the great thing is that Jen and James can riff off ideas so much better than James and I riff off ideas. They're both so smart. They're both so driven. Since then, Jen's been doing the idea list every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, every morning. That's why she said like she would send us a huge 10 ideas a day list every week. And yeah, and I really love all the mentees in the Makes You a Millionaire series, because every day, every week, someone will send me something. Paolo will send me something like, hey, check this out. This is what I did. Jason first will send me something like, okay, this is done. This is great. Jens would do the same. James Condell will do the same. I love them. Yeah, and what do you think?
I love it too. Paolo is such an interesting story to me. That he's got a real traditional kind of, maybe not traditional. He's what I think of. He's the normal thing that comes to mind when I think of a guest that would come on the show. He's
Really?
taking social media. Yeah, because he's taking social media and bots and app development and doing it the quickest way to make the biggest gains.
Right.
And that fits into that mold. But I love hearing him. He talks about it. Software development is just as like bug tracking as it goes along. You were listening to these people, have him and James bounce this idea off each other. Hey, this got caught. Okay, now rework it, try it this way, see if this is going to do, okay, no, but the system's picking it up after this amount of thing. And just hearing it fix out bugs, like troubleshoot into something that could be a functional product, or how they could take the idea and implement it in a way where it's not going to get shut down is really, I love hearing them puzzle that kind of stuff out.
Right. And also like one great thing that happened to Paolo, I would say right here. So for whoever that's just joined the live stream, this is the Companion Podcast live recording sessions for the James Altucher Show. It's a Companion Podcast, so it's hosted by me and Nathan. I actually learned this from Brian Keating. Like every 5 minutes, it will just, just market yourself up, put yourself out there. So one good thing that happened to Paolo that I'm really happy about, and also I'm really happy about our community. We talk about GPT-3, GPT-2, whatever, right? So at that time, when the first episode came out, he doesn't have access to GPT-3. I have access, but I can pass him the account because it's tied to my Google account. Someone on podcast Facebook page actually reached out to me and James say, hey, I have GPT-3 access. I want to give it to Paolo. And that happened.
Wow.
And then Paolo just been going crazy on GPT-3 for the past few weeks.
Oh my gosh. So, wow.
Yeah. So actually people actually reach out to Paolo like, hey, I have this thing. You can have it. Make good use of it because I'm not using it. So that's why I love the community, like the James Altucher community so much, because this thing happens. We will get hate. We will get we get slammed by people, but good thing happens too, So I'm really happy about Paolo episodes. I'm really happy about all our contestants. But okay, so I have a question for you. Who do you think is going to be the first one that makes the millionaire? To be a millionaire for the Makes You a Millionaire.
First one to make it to $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it could be me, but I'm not in the program.
My guess would be James Quandall simply through
Really?
because he has an active model that he's developing for the Amazon seller account. He's already got this up, and he's been taking that, as we learned in recent episodes on that, cementing himself as an expert on Quora. He's learning from this direct user base who's interested in this, how he could diversify his course. He knows how to develop a course through any of these platforms. I think he could create a product, in this teaching model and do it very quickly, just because it's something that could get to market immediately and start earning.
Right. Interesting. That's very interesting. Well, for the longest time, I thought James Quandall too. I think James Quandall would be the quickest. But after recording Jen's and Paolo and Jason's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of rooting. I mean, like, of course, they all will be millionaire at some point. I'm pretty sure. We're just talking about who will be the quickest, who will be the first, right? I kind of rooting for Jen Glantz.
Jen. Why do you think Jen?
She's very she's very excited. She is a go-getter. And she's also a people person.
Definitely.
And she always come up with ideas.
Yeah, she's a self-marketer.
Yeah, she's a self-marketer. And this is what I like about her the most. Like, every time James will give some ideas, or there's some ideas come from her, she will be like, I like the idea. I know I can do it, but I'm not passionate about it.
Interesting.
Hence, I don't want to do it. So she know what she want to do, and she know something that she's good at, but she don't want to do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
sometimes our everyday life. We know we are good at something. We know we can do something very well, but we're just not passionate about it. Then we're like, okay, yeah, we'll still do it, and then we do a half-assed job, and then you're not happy. Whereas Jen is like, I know this is why I know I'm passionate about this. I know this is what I want to do, even though
She's
I'm
gonna
not
whole
good.
ass it.
Yep, I'm. You have to choose either you half asset or whole asset. A whole asset's probably better than half asset. So like
Whole ass.
she like, even though there's challenge, I know I can learn about it, and then I can maybe do it a good job at it. You know what I mean? So I have my money on Jen Glantz or maybe Paolo, because if you can sell the app very quickly, you can make $1 million very quickly. App is a
Definitely.
very
You're right.
lucrative. Yeah. So we should bet on this. Whoever loses, buy another person coffee.
Oh, yes.
Okay, coffee strong.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
You know what I love about fantasy sports is that even though I'm not going to be a great basketball player or a baseball player or a football player or whatever, I feel like I get to participate and make decisions and use my knowledge of these different leagues or these different sports to compete. So it's like I can pick my team or I can pick my favorite players, and I could use my knowledge to make predictions and maybe even make money. So with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League on Prize Picks. This is a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. Want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, who's also been a guest on this podcast, and I've been a guest on his? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Look, Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. What? So I love playing it. I love anywhere where I can use analytical ability with my interests to demonstrate some skill and maybe make some money. And I like the game-like aspect. I do wish they had chess as a category on prizepicks.com, but I'll settle for what they've got. Maybe I should make my own fantasy chess league. But in any case, I love PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/James. Use code James for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the easiest $100 you're ever going to make. So that's prizepicks.com/James and use code James. Daily fantasy sports made easy. The future of learning is definitely online. Like, it's such BS that you have to spend $200,000 or take $200,000 in loans and go to some fancy school when it's useless. It doesn't guarantee you a job. Most employers, including me, do not care about degrees or grades or anything like that. We want to care that you love what you're doing, that you know what you're doing, in some cases that you have experience or that you're willing to learn. But people in general love learning and are curious. Like, the key to success is curiosity. And I think masterclass.com is the perfect model for online learning. I'm really happy they're sponsoring this episode. If you're going to give a gift, give the gift of learning. Masterclass makes a meaningful gift this season for you and anyone on your list, because both of you can learn from the best to become your best, from leadership to effective communication to cooking. Let me tell you some of the classes I've taken. I've taken comedy from Steve Martin. I mean, can you believe I can take a class from Steve Martin on comedy, or Judd Apatow, my favorite comedy director? I could take an actual class from him on writing. Wolfgang Puck on cooking. Dan Brown on writing, or Judy Bloom, who's been on this podcast, on writing. By the way, Wolfgang Puck also has been on this podcast. It's such a pleasure. I try to take classes all the time from masterclass.com. And whether you're watching Masterclass on TV or listening in audio mode in the app or on their site, the quality speaks for itself. It's like these Masterclass instructors are your own personal mentors that are going to help you reach the next level. How much would it cost to take one-on-one classes on comedy from Steve Martin or on chess from Gary Kasparov? You just wouldn't be able to do it. But it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. With a Masterclass annual membership, it's $10 a month. Memberships start at $120 a year for unlimited access to one-on-one classes with all 180 plus Masterclass instructors. So it's not just $120 for one instructor. You get all 180 plus Masterclass instructors. Boost your confidence and find practical takeaways you can apply to your life and at work. And if you own a business or are a team leader, use Masterclass to empower and create future-ready employees and leaders. That's the real education in today's world. So this holiday season, you can give one annual membership and get one free at masterclass.com/JAS. JAS, of course, stands for the James Altucher Show. So right now you can get two memberships for the price of one at masterclass.com/JAS. Masterclass.com/JAS. Offer terms apply.
All right, now let's get into the James Altucher Show. Do you have a favorite episodes this month?
I really enjoyed Unni Turrettini listening, because I've been interested from all the Brian Keating episodes. The Nobel Prize has been a very, I feel like I'm a very informed listener. I'm very, very informed about the ins and outs of the Nobel Prizes in ways that I never thought or wanted to know. But since I have that information, hearing somebody else with a different spin and an angling on the Peace Prize was a very interesting kind of set of pop culture trivia for me.
Right. It's kind of crazy. So we are talking about episode 726, the corruptions behind the Nobel Peace Prize, with Unni Turrettini. For whoever that haven't listened to it yet, please listen to it. It's a great episode about the Nobel Peace Prize. See, for the longest time, I thought Nobel Peace Prize is about peace. But apparently not. The Nobel Peace Prize is just about politics. Everything is politics nowadays. Not nowadays. It's since
Since the
80s?
creation of the Nobel Peace Prize, it seems like it
Yeah.
was about politics. The reason why that prize in particular is given in and by the government of Norway as opposed to Sweden with all of the other Nobel Prizes.
Yeah, see, and also like apparently the Nobel Peace Prize was created out of a love story.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like Alex Nobel is his name, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So he was in love with this woman, but he can't really get her. So like he created this prize. Eventually, she went on and got the prize anyway.
5 years later, after his
5 years
death.
later. Yeah. I always have this theory. You can't be popular until you are dead.
Right.
Yep. Look at Michael Jackson. Look at Jason McAfee. Look at David Epstein. No, not David
You're
Epstein.
saying
Look
all
at
of
Jeffrey
these names
Epstein.
wrong.
I know. I say all this name wrong because hey, English is my second language. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah. So that it's such a great episode because you learn about the true story about Nobel Peace Prize. You know, you don't just like a lot of time things present to you differently than what it's supposed to be. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So I always love this quote by, I forgot who it is by. Was it by Jordan Harbinger or whoever? There's a good reason and there's a real reason.
Real reason.
Yep. Yeah. So everything, like no matter what happened, no matter what, everything is political. Like you always have to think about why and how and why now? Why me? You know what I mean? So the episode 726 with Unni Turrettini is great because it's a story that you can learn. And then she also talked about loneliness. One quote that I really likes from her is loneliness is not necessarily that's no one around you. Sometimes when that you have friends with you, you have other people with you, you still feel lonely because you're not being heard. Or no one listened to you. So she has a free course as well. Like if you go to, I'm pretty sure it's unniturrettini.com, or you can go to the episode's description. There's a description there that can take a course on loneliness. And for me, I'm really happy about the past month's episodes because one of my good friend, Steve Cohen, was on the show. Yeah, he's a magician.
He used to produce this podcast, right?
No, that's a different Steve Cohen.
What?
This is a Steve Cohen, the magicians.
Wait, I thought it was the hedge fund guy.
No. How many Steve Cohen out there? That's crazy. I really want to know how many Steve Cohen out there. All right. So for the episodes, I think it's
What number was it? I'm getting confused.
It's episode 715. How to win the crowd with the Millionaire's magician Steve Cohen.
Oh, that's
is
Steve
great.
Cohen.
Yeah,
Love him.
The episode is great because like he talk about all the techniques of like how to what's the word? How to distract people.
Yes.
And also there's a word for it, but I can't remember. It's not distract. Misdirections. How to misdirections. How to misdirect people. And he also talked about the techniques, on the stage. And the cool thing about that episode, he actually performed 2 magic for us on the episode.
You did, right? So those were only available on where do they post on this Instagram?
So it was on Instagram and on YouTube. It was on James' IG story and also on the James Altucher YouTube. And the craziest thing about that episode is that, so that New York started lifting the restrictions for performance. Tracy Morgan actually attended the show.
Nice.
Yep, he told me is like he just seen a Ferrari in front of the hotel, and then he just walked up to the Ferrari, and then he realized, it's Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan.
He gave him his card, and then next thing you know, Tracy Morgan's assistant called him. So moral of the story, always walk to a Ferrari. You never know who you're gonna see. Always walk to a Ferrari.
I love it. I something I loved a whole different angle about that Steve Cohen episode, which was why and how he branded himself the Millionaire's magician. And just, because he thought that was something that would not work. just he right when he started, he wasn't playing to only high roller rooms. He was magicians aren't notoriously successful people either. You know you put that in a level of hardworking stage performer where there's fame, but there's not a lot of room at the top. And he took that branding well and decided, by putting himself as a certain thing, he could get a certain kind of crowd.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like for the longest time in the history, there's court jester and then the court musicians. There's never a court magicians.
Never a court magician.
Right? If you think about it, there's no like back then there's court musicians like Beethoven or like Mozart. Like they just go to the court and play for the royal. But that's no court magicians. Like if you are the magicians, you might be a witch or you might be a wizard.
That's very true.
Exactly. And then you get hunt down, you get burned. Even if you write with your left hand, apparently during the witch hunting period, if you write with your left hand, you're considered a witch. Anyway, the other thing that I like about him is he constantly practice. He, as he mentioned in the podcast, he always has a deck in his pocket. Like he will always if he's not doing anything, he will always shuffle. He will always shuffle, practice sleight of hands, and he would practice everything. And also the other thing that I like about him is also a huge Batman fan. Every time I walk into the park with him, I would see him wearing Batman t-shirts, and I'm wearing Batman t-shirts, and then we're like, yay, oh yeah, that's from comic books, what, and this from comic books, what. That's great. Yeah, so I love the episodes. If you haven't checked out the episodes, make sure you check out episodes 700, and I lost my train of thoughts. It's 715, How to Win the Crowd, because you can learn so much about misdirections. One thing that I really learned that works really well is people take 2 instructions at a time better than taking 1 instruction at a time.
That's a great takeaway.
Yep. So if I say, hey, Nathan, get up and look around the room, there's higher chances of you doing it than I say, hey, Nathan, get up. Now look at your room. Yeah. So I use that a lot right now. And the other one that I really like in, last month is the Shanana episodes. 720, How Shanana Solved Murder with Robert A. Leonard.
Robert A. Leonard.
Yeah, that one is great. So apparently Shanana, I didn't know anything about Shanana. You probably know Shanana better than me because you're musicians.
Yep.
I never know Shanana. So apparently Shanana was really famous in the 70s.
Yeah, they were like a doo-wop group, like doo-wop revival. It's everything as he says in the episode. Just imagine Greece.
Right.
Why Greece was popular at that time period. And basically all of that was just them directly pulling from what Shanana was doing.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like James say, like in the episodes, like you hear James say that James would watch their show.
And they had a variety show in the 70s.
Yeah, in the 70s, that's sort of show how old James is right now.
Oh yeah.
James is showing his age. What I like that series the most, the episode the most, is that like it's crazy because he's such a rock star. He gave up being a rock star, and he went and finished his PhD and became the American forensic linguist that actually helped Apple won a case against Microsoft.
He's kind of the man in this field of forensic linguistics.
Yeah, he is. And then one thing that I really like find it interesting in the episode is that he did say that like people review so much from their writing. People review who they are so much in their writing. So if I write to anyone, like people would know, okay, this guy's probably English is his second language, or he just recently watched a lot of basketball so he can basketball terms. That's so fascinating. Right, yeah. It's subconscious. Like you when I write something, I'm not consciously think about what should I put in there. I will think about it. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it like this. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole personality to what to what comes out subconsciously.
And also one good takeaway from the episode is like the informations is like from writing is slowly it's only based on the listener, on the reader or the reader.
Say
So
it again.
so like the informations from speech and writing,
Yeah.
it's solely based on
Who receives it?
the receiver. Yeah, the receiver side. In a sense that, so let's say if you write
Right.
if you write something like, Jay, I hope you have a good day. So I will be the one that interpret how I want it to be. It's not how you want to say it or how you want to write it. Not sure if that makes sense. So
Oh,
in that,
yeah.
because like I could interpret it in the wrong way. Like, okay, is he mad at me? Is he hoping me to have a good day? Like, am I gonna fall down the stair or whatever? Is he cursing me? So do you know how I met Robert Leonard?
How did you meet Robert A. Leonard?
You know John Levy, right? He came on the show before. He has
Yeah.
he was on episodes 714, The Art and Science of Cultivating Influence, John Levy. So I went to one of the John Levy dinner party.
Very cool.
And then in the dinner party, sometimes we get into a breakout room for some activity, like, hey, talk to each other, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is to break the ice. And Robert said, yeah, I'm an American linguistic. I'm like, what the F is American linguistic? Do you just go around and talk to people, or just go around and
Right.
analyze what people say? And then I researched him, and then found out he worked on all these cases, and
Yeah,
he
huge
founded
stuff.
the Shanana. And I just write to him like, hey, do you want to come on the show? It took him 3 weeks to reply, and he said, yeah, I would love to.
That's awesome.
3 weeks.
It's all right. That's
Yeah.
better than me sometimes.
You took 2 seconds. So he came on, and then we have that great episodes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any another like great episode that you like?
Of course.
I should ask Chad if anyone that's still listening on Twitch right now, if you have any episodes that you like in the past month, feel free to type in the chat. Like why and what episodes that you like the most for the past month. We only talk about the past month.
Callum Hughes' episode was very interesting. Talking about, just because it's a topical situation. Callum is the CEO of Allied Corporation, which is a multinational corporation based in Canada that cultivates medical marijuana products and is also looking into psychedelics. And it was interesting from a lot of ways because he was looking at multinational ideas of what they're doing in Canada with a legal product, national legalization, talking about what they're currently doing in the United States with CBD products and in states which have legalized things. And he's also talking about how they're preparing for the future by doing their farming in Colombia, where the price per square footage, your crop yield is exorbitantly higher and cheaper due to the natural climate as opposed to growing localized in states where it's legalized in America, such as greenhouses in Colorado, which can produce the same crop, but at a completely different cost because you're needing to do indoor versus outdoor grow.
Interesting. Like, so even Mark here, Mark leads shares. He thinks about the same thing, psychedelics and mental illness. I thought about mental illness a lot. I'm just curious, like, Mark, we're going to keep talking because there's going to be a delay on Twitch when this question goes out. Why do you like the episode so much? Why do you like psychedelics? Do you secretly take some weird drugs or microdosing or
I've
marijuana?
been interested in that. The micro. Well, there's been big decriminalization efforts to psilocybin in, I believe it was in Colorado, statewide.
Right.
And then also the increase in therapeutic ketamine treatment to long-term depressives who have had medicine resistant due to other things. There's such taboo things that are just rapidly changing with legalization in other countries and the impending legalization in America.
Right. Wow. So Mark said that he didn't take any of that things, but he do have an addictions treatment practice.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of interest in psychedelics being used in the future of addiction treatment. That's very interesting. It's interesting because like addictions, It's because there's a lot of different addictions, right? So there's alcohol addictions. That's if someone's it's addict is like let's say if someone's play games a lot, I think that's addictions as well. I wonder if
Sure.
that you can. I wonder if psychedelics can be used in those things as well.
I don't know.
That's actually very interesting.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big debate in all this stuff, and especially in types of any addiction, whether you're using an abstinence program or a harm reduction model, where you're not trying to eliminate something but control long-time addictive behaviors. Ketamine is breaking a cycle and trying to reset, whereas the psychedelics seem to be going in a different direction, where the microdosing, I really don't know enough, but it's obviously if you listen to Tim Ferriss or any of those guys, they have whole dedicated topics on how they've gone deep into that.
So Dr. Lee also the host on the Rehab podcast. So that's probably why he knows so much about the addiction treatment. Thanks for listening to the show, Dr. Lee. So I also have another favorite episode. This is probably one of my favorite, other than the Steve Cohen and the Robert L. Leonard, is Peter Boghossian.
Boghossian, yeah.
How to have impossible conversations. I deal with this constantly because I just hate echo chamber. I don't know if anyone likes echo chamber or not. I hate.
Like I said, I like it a little bit. I like it in when I understand what my echo chamber is and that I'm using it for a like serotonin boost.
Right. Yeah. So it's weird. Like I would know that myself is in echo chamber when a lot of people agree with me and I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I have what's the word, deprecations or like
you're self-deprecating. No,
yeah,
I don't think that's the right
self-deprecating.
term, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, because like if I find myself too happy when someone says about something, I realize I shouldn't head down that spiral. Like I need to like step out and listen to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that makes sense. Like, and that episode is great because like a lot of time it's just impossible to have a conversation with anyone nowadays. Like if they have opposite view, done. That's no way to talk about them. No way to talk about that topic with that person.
Yeah, it's been a recurring theme.
Yeah, and also what he says in the podcast is very, very interesting. Is facts don't matter.
Yeah,
facts don't matter.
Very important.
Like, yeah, like like I always talk about this. Like New York article. Like a lot of people are like, hey, I like until now, like I still see people on the Facebook like, oh, look at this happened. New York is dead, my ass. And then I think about it and I'm like, yeah, you show a picture of people dancing on the street. You show people eating on the restaurant. You show people walking on the street. That's it. But what about the underlying issues? Like what does that mean? People are dancing on the street. Do they get paid to that on the street? Are they paying like hundred and thousand of tax dollars to help New York, recover financially? Or they're just dancing on the street and then they're just gonna leave the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And when people move back to the city, like what are their tax bracket? Are they gonna be more? Do they make more than 400,000? Because I think they are passing the bill of raising the tax if you make more than 400,000. If they are, that's great. So they can contribute to the tax revenue for New York City. But if they are just student, they come in, they might not. Do you have to pay tax if you're a student?
If you're making an income in the city, then you're paying income tax. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so like if you're a student, you might not make more than 100,000 a year.
No, likely a student is making very, very. If they're a undergraduate student who is a full-time student, they're probably contributing. They're earning a very small salary.
Yeah. So is that going to help with tax revenue?
Not in that sort of way.
Right.
It's especially my guess would be the very high tuitions that those families are paying to the not-for-profit college institutions are not being taxed in the same way. So it's going directly to the money's coming in, but it's going to a self-serving community.
Yep. So like the episode just made me think about like you always have to ask why and what's going on underneath. Like always ask questions. Always be curious. Like
Sure.
like if someone says something like, okay, New York, this is New York. Look at how many people on the street dancing, blah blah blah. And then you have to think about, okay, so what does that mean? You know? And also like if someone say, okay, New York has a lot of deficits. New York data show that the housing is, the rental is going down. What does that mean? Does that mean like we have too much supply, not enough demand?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like rather than taking a side, I felt like it's always good to just look at data, even though facts doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You're trying to inform yourself, but you're not trying to influence people using those facts.
Yeah, and also always listen to other people. Like impossible conversations is because you're not listening. You always stand on your ground and you just say no. Like always listen. Why do you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say this? Like is it because you got hurt by the bigger institutions? That's why you say this, or is it because you have an ego that you have to check? Because a lot of time I think egos get in the way of a lot of these conversations because you just want to be right. You don't want to be informed. You want to be right. That's what a lot of people's mentality is. So like you listen to the episodes. I hope the episodes. I have to say that episode's number. I'm sorry. I'm the worst. That's episodes. That's episode 724. How to have impossible conversations when facts don't matter. Like I hope that the episodes can help people to realize that you want to be informed. You don't want just to be right. You don't want just to be right. You know what I mean?
100%, Jay.
Yeah. Do you have any other favorite episodes?
No. I think I'm good.
No. That's it. That's it. Well, that's all, folks. So I hope that, this Companion Podcast, this episodes with the new intro will hype up everyone, and also like hopefully will make you go back to listen to the past episodes, listen it again. If you missed any episodes that we mentioned, listen to them again. We have great episodes. And then we also have great episodes coming up that I'm really excited about. Some of which include, the Makes You a Millionaire series, more of them. And then we have Mike Rothschild. That is great because we talk about QAnon a bunch. We talk about conspiracy a bunch. And then,
James must be, he must be so happy. He loves this
I'm
stuff.
happy too.
Of course. You guys are
I love
conspiracy.
Nuts. Yep. I don't dive into it. I don't like, I'm a conspiracy person.
No, they're
I
just so
love
juicy.
Listen.
Yeah.
I know. I love listening to them. Like it's such an interesting thing to listen to. And then we also have Ash K. So he was I have to say he scaled a bunch of mountains. Like
Very
he
cool.
climbed mountains. It's very cool. We talk about what's the best way to kill ourselves. I strongly believe if I want to suicide, I would just go into hypothermia because I would get numb and I don't feel anything. The next thing I know, I'm dead.
All right, so up on a mountain.
Yeah, just go on the mountain. Spend a ton of money, go on the mountain and die.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Dr. Liz, thank you so much for staying with us. Maybe next time. I really want to open up to other people. I really want to open up to having people coming on. Maybe next time I will do a better job on, interacting with the chat. And then we'll just give you a code that you can join the Zoom sessions anytime. Thank you, Dr. Liz. Thank you. Dr. Liz says, excellent episode. I'm really happy. I'm actually really nervous. I almost didn't sleep last night.
What?
Yeah, because this is my first official live stream.
Oh, wow.
With audience that I never know. So, and I also really, really nervous about the tech issues. I'm a tech person, as you know, so I want everything to go perfectly.
You're crushing it, Jay.
Do you have any last word that you want to say?
Looking forward to talking to you next month.
Looking forward to talking to you next month. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
In Entresto, sacubitril valsartan tablets, is the #1 heart failure brand prescribed by cardiologists and has helped over 1 million people with heart failure. It's a prescription medicine that treats adults with long-lasting chronic heart failure and works better when the heart cannot pump a normal amount of blood to the body.
Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. Don't take with aliskiren or within 36 hours of taking an ACE inhibitor. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Angioedema is swelling of your face, lips, tongue, and throat that may cause death. If it causes difficulty breathing, get emergency help.
Ask your doctor about Entresto. To learn more, visit support.entresto.com or call 833-446-6699. For pricing, visit Entresto.com/cost. If you can't afford your medication, Novartis may be able to help.